Here I am in Hitcham, which is the earliest known records of the Kimball family, and this is where they lived for 300 years, from the late 1200s to the late 1500s. But perhaps before that, they maybe even lived in Hitcham before that. So we're gonna take a look around Hitcham. Especially, we're going to go to the church and we're going to talk to you about what we know about the Kimball family, descended from Richard from Massachusetts, and what they did in Hitcham. Okay, so here we are at All Saints Church, also known as Hitcham Parish Church or just Hitcham Church. This is the furthest back we can trace the Kimball ancestors, those of us who descended from Richard of Massachusetts. So Richard's great-grandfather, Henry II, and Henry's father, Henry I, his father John, his father Thomas III, Thomas II, Thomas I, Thomas I's father John, and then finally his father Henry, which is 19 generations back. Henry, born around 1280 in Hitcham, died in Hitcham. All of them, including their wives, their children, brothers and sisters, our great, uncles, nieces, they're all buried here. They were baptized in this church. They got married in this church. And we can trace back to there. So let's, we've looked around at these gravestones. It is very hard to read, even gravestones from the 1800s. And if you get back into the earlier gravestones with no markings, they're just so worn down. It's unlikely that any stones exist from this period that we're talking about, which is 1400s, 1300s, 1200s. So we wouldn't be able to find them. We weren't able to find any stones ourselves, but they are buried here in this yard, many of them, under our feet. Okay, let's have a look inside. A really thick door here. But come on inside. So here we are. Yeah, it's just beautiful, and it's just amazing to think about the history of this place. And what happened in here: baptisms, marriages, church services of our ancestors. Growing up here as children in this place, I'd like to draw your attention to one thing that's always fun to look at least for me personally. And I have a photo of this as well, but the picture of all the rectors of All Saints Hitcham, all the way back to 1281. So the Kimball family who lived in Hitcham all through this time about till 1561, as we talked about, when Henry III moved to Brettenham, around this time, 1560s, 80s. We're not sure exactly when he moved, but all of these were the rectors for our family. These people knew our family knew these people. This is not the original baptismal, so this one is a newer baptismal font, as they call it. So they weren't baptized there. But I would like to draw your attention to something that is kind of confusing for me. And if anybody watching this video, any Kimball, can shed some light on this. There's this giant plaque here that's obviously the copy of some document. You can see down here the year 1831. I don't know if that's the year it was that this plaque was created or the year that this document was written. It says charities belonging to the parish of Hitcham. Now, like I said before, Hitcham, this building we're in is about 700 years old, but the community of the church is like 1,000 years old or so. So perhaps this was the document outlining the people who donated to make this building, to have this building erected. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure. You can see Thomas Kimball right there. And you can read it yourself. So he played a part in giving to create this church, I think. And that would be Thomas Kimball. I'm not sure. It could have been the first, the second, or the third. But they all lived in Hitcham. I'm not sure which one would have been the one donating to the creation of this church, because like I said, it's about 700 years old. And if you want me to give you the documents, this church has like a little history of this church pamphlet. Too long to go through in this video, but I can give you a copy of it. I can scan it and give it to you. But those are the two things that I would point out that are very interesting about this place. So, am I missing anything? All right, so that's the Kimballs of Hitcham, dating back to the late 1200s.